I couldn't believe it. Same day, turned it on the radio, and then I turned around and turned on the TV, started watching the movie, and got whammed again on the movie.
God, I hate that song.
I should have known better because the title of the movie
What,
was
Last Christmas?
Yes.
Because it's not even a Christmas song.
Yeah, exactly.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
It's a breakup song.
Right.
I mean, the movie was awesome. I loved the movie, but yeah.
Okay, so now that we're talking about how we got whammed.
Double whammed.
Yeah, I was in Mexico on a tour bus.
That was the funniest thing.
Yeah. It's not fair.
It really wasn't.
You're like, could you have at least sang it in Spanish or something so it wouldn't have counted?
Yeah.
Right.
Últimas Navidades.
Right.
Yeah.
I had to look that up.
So, we are back. We're live once again. At this point, so who wants to do the recap of last game?
And just as a side note, I apologize for anybody who might be viewing, but I am going to mute myself regularly because running around and I have a gigantic burrito. So,
Giant burrito.
yes. But you won't have to hear me eat it. And that is not me scraping a plate.
Come in, you royal boob.
I can go ahead and do the recap. I'll use Justin's notes here.
Okay.
So, last we left off, Angler was in DC, and the rest of us were still in Coveria because we were in Baron Damocles' castle. We had that feast that he offered. There were servants that fed us. Let's see. In the meantime, Angler in DC had a conversation with the director of the Science Museum that was there. There's no additional news on Atlantis information, and he found out that the U.S. government seems to be checking out the device that we were involved with, that long-range comm system, the device that was on display. And back in Coveria, we were having the feast. Let's see here. During dinner, the Baron made mention that a couple of us weren't eating Xenofreeze and Hyperion, and that was explained that, they either don't eat or eat completely different things. Let's see here. Hyperion mentioned the existence of Mainframe and warned the Baron about him being in the midst. He might even be in Transnistria based on information we had. So he's aware now. Then we went to bed. Next morning, Han, the refugee who had magnetic manipulation powers, joined us. We took off to go to, what is that place called? Kishinev. Let's see here, because we were told by the Baron to meet up with their local hero, the Crimson Soldat, and through him we'd be able to get help and information to head to Transnistria. So we approached, contacted their air traffic control. Crimson Soldat met us in midair. It seems to be a running pattern with us when we fly. And he's apparently a guy in this just super awesome decked out combat power armor suit. That's his thing. And he led us to the airstrip where we landed. He landed. A bunch of soldiers arrived as preparation. Let's see here. Then Mr. Agadati arrived. He's a kind of a politician type dude, a male Moldovan in his mid-50s. He's in politics. He actually met us at the airport. Let's see here. He talked about the different spikes in crime and contraband, especially with regards to Transnistria. We let him know why we were there, trying to help with overthrowing the Transnistrian regime. let's see here. He ultimately let us know that they are being led by General Pyotr Yanovich, and he has control over approximately 15,000 soldiers. They possess conventional weapons, tanks, and so forth. He also would apparently be the one to get and interrogate because there is probably an FSB agent in their midst, and that person could possibly lead us to the Ubari. Let's see here. Had conversation with Mr. Agadati. He talked to Lightbringer, asking for a doll, like an action figure.
That's right.
And let's see.
Oh,
We
yeah,
made sure to.
I need to get him one.
Right. Then we made sure to actually teleport Han to the Aegis Foundation and made sure to communicate to them what his deal was, and Angler helped to get him processed as a refugee. And then we were getting civilian clothes on and being led to the checkpoint where we can walk into Transnistria.
That's right.
There you go.
Ta-da! Okay, so before we begin and jump back into game, we have Karma to get out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Now, I don't think anybody has a birthday this month, do they? No?
Not December.
I'm sorry, you have Carmen to get out of the way?
Jesus does.
Yeah.
My buddy Mark has a birthday. Does that count?
My brother just had a
regretfully,
birthday.
no.
See, we got birthdays.
Jesus is on our team, right?
Because Jesus took the wheel a long time ago? Is that what we're saying?
Just ran off with it.
Okay, so that would be no. So does somebody want to roll for Karma?
Do we get Christmas karma?
Are you gonna roll for Karma, or are we gonna?
I can
It's just
roll.
a 1d10, right?
Yes.
Let's see what I get.
Okay.
8.
Nice. So 8 times 50.
400, and then times 6 is 2,400. And so that added on to what we currently have of 9,370. So we have now 11,770 banked karma. It is
Nice.
still technically Justin's turn in the cycle.
Okay.
Are we going to do power stunts?
Don't
I
have the
keep-
capability of doing that right
Keep
now.
forgetting to do that.
Yeah, because we're right in the middle of a scene.
Yeah.
Fine.
I know. Boo. Okay, so it didn't take you very long. Oh, Davy Jones is redeeming points for somebody.
Hi, Davey.
Let's see who it is.
Where'd my chat go? I can't see my chat.
So Derek, you have got a reroll.
Nice.
Sounds like a personal problem there, dude.
Thanks to
Yeah.
Davy.
Thank you, Davey.
And Farfig Dugan Falafel Hoppin is also in the chat.
Yeah, Gesundheit.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I just called him Sir Long Name, so.
There.
Nice.
Sir, not appearing in this film.
Sir not appearing in this film. Because everybody was getting in on the collectible card game phase, somebody licensed the Holy Grail as a collectible card game, and they had a card that, like normally your heroes or whatnot would be a picture, so you had like Sir Arthur and so on and so forth. They copied that one, made a blank card, and at the bottom it says "Sir not appearing in this card game."
Nice.
Nice.
So. All right. So where we left off, then you guys are going to be crossing over to the border. Question for you: are you using not invisibility? Are you using like illusions or anything, or are you just using the clothes that you have been provided?
Well, at the very least, Billy's going to have to disguise his hand and mohawk,
Correct.
Right.
because assuming that those are the only things that are showing.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of clothes are they? They're like normal clothes, right?
Well, as the agent put it, he's like, that was effectively hobo clothes
Right.
Right.
that you were provided, which would have been, accurate. But if you're supposed to be tourists, you wouldn't go wandering around really in that kind of clothing because you don't
Yeah.
look like you have
Um,
any money.
We're supposed to be American tourists. I figure we could pretty much wear our typical clothing,
Street
but
clothes.
if we changed our appearance, if for those of us who can.
I can. Yeah.
I could do that, but I also don't know that I want to have to hold it the whole time.
Right.
I think I'll at least like do something different with my hair, like tie it back or wear a hat or both or something.
Okay.
And I
if
make
you ask
myself look
Hyperion
something
nicely, he can take you. You can make several stops along the way. You don't have to hold it. I know.
Ba-dum-ts.
That's the look I get when Brittany's had enough of me. She's just like,
And Hyperion, he'll change his typical human look so that he doesn't look like Mark, but just a different type of white dude.
okay.
And same.
Um,
I could do something like look like Mark. I won't. Though.
Not
Carmen's gonna look like Mark too.
Right? We all look like Mark. We are all Mark. Yeah. No, just
Hyperion starts a cult.
about best as I can do is probably put her hair up in a pigtails or something.
Okay.
Billy will go for the dreadlocks.
Yes, with his mohawk.
Over the top. Yeah. Make the mohawk go away. Go with dreadlocks.
I'd like to see a mohawk of dreadlocks.
I've seen it. It's interesting.
I'm gonna look that up.
It's like it's just braided, sort of like pulled back, tied, that kind of thing. But it's definitely a mohawk.
They did something like that in Vikings.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, a couple of times.
Yep. So,
Interesting.
okay. So after you've gotten changed into appropriate clothing, at this point, you hop on a beat up, 6-seater little passenger van, and you go, like, as you're coming down the road, heading to what is labeled affectionately as Transnistria. You can see signs warning people, not to go there. If you go there, it's, effectively like rebels have control of the area. You're outside of Moldovan protection, so on and so forth. It's giving a real bad vibe against tourism.
Cool.
But there is a checkpoint there. Before you enter, it is controlled by the Moldovans, and the guy who's driving you to get you across actually pays the guy to allow you to get across.
Okay.
And as he's driving over, he's like, you're going to need to keep your passports on you at all times. Not like they're any good there, but if you're going to attempt to cross over to either country that they border, you're going to need it, because obviously people from this area, they're unrecognized by Ukraine or Moldova. So you've been warned. And he, shortly after crossing over the border, he just pulls over, to a stop. Basically, it's like an outlet where people can just turn around if they, couldn't get through the border for one reason or another. Drops you off there, and he putters back across the border.
All right.
Cool.
So the area where we're at, what are we looking at here exactly?
Okay, so take any 80s movie that has depicted Cold War Russia. That's pretty much what this looks like.
Got it.
So
Alright.
the buildings here look like they probably needed a fresh coat of paint 20, 30 years ago.
I was just gonna say.
Is it black and white here too?
Yes, yeah, they don't have color yet, unfortunately.
I thought that's what I thought.
Just black and white and gray paint.
Yep, unfortunately. Yeah, even the hammer and sickle that they display is just differing shades of gray. No, there you do see old Cold War propaganda posters still posted, hailing Cold War leaders and whatnot. They're a little tattered, obviously, because they're on the older side at this point, but they're still blazing. Nobody has tagged them. Nobody's tried to rip them down or anything of that nature. It's you've basically stepped into a country that's kind of clinging to an era that's been gone 20 years ish by this point.
Okay.
And officially collapsed like 4 years ago. So the cars that you see driving around, which you don't see many, but you do see some cars, they're obviously all Russian make. None of them are new. So in that sense, if anybody has ever seen pictures of what Cuba looks like, it's the same kind of MO, where everything is, I don't want to say completely run down, but everything is very clearly old, all the way down from the vehicles that they drive. So any vehicles that they might have or equipment, obviously they can't just buy new, so they've gotten in the habit of constantly trying to fix and repair, and so even when you see like electrical poles running overhead, like Hyperion at this point would probably be twitching a little bit, like at the OSHA violations. He's looking at as you guys cross, you're just like, oh no, that's you don't wire things like that. No, that's terrible. But that is kind of what Transnistria is all about. It's clean, however. It does have that going for it. So it's not like you see like a bunch of garbage floating around in the street. But people tend to keep to themselves. And since it's very clear that you are not from here, people do tend to give you the side eye as you're walking around.
Okay.
Are they just like all pretty much straight across the board, or is there like vagrants or upper class? I mean, can you see differing classes that way at all?
You're probably gonna have to spend more time here before you can make heads or tails as to who's who.
Are we seeing any patrols of like Russian military, anything like that?
You sure are.
Okay. What are they packing? Tanks or just trucks or what?
No. They're on foot.
Okay.
Basically what it is right now. The Russian soldiers are acting like police. So they're on foot, or you'll see like that they have a Jeep nearby or something. So it has an occupation sort of look to it, but it's not like people are cowering and they're not like getting hit with rifle butts or anything. They're just, everybody's kind of going about their day.
Okay. Let's see. All right, so then Hyperion looks to the group, and he'll sub-vocalize. All right, the goal first is to see if we can actually locate the General Yanovich. In order to accomplish that, we're going to need to understand the basic culture of the area and see if we can obtain information perhaps from the civilians or any of the local military personnel that are in the area.
How are we going to do that? Anybody speak the local?
I can read it. I hope you don't mind me borrowing your mobile device. And he hands that back to you.
Oh, if he's got it, keep it. If you need it, hang on to it.
All right, then.
I mean, it doesn't really serve me any good. It translates for me right now, but otherwise it's not really connected to anything. So,
Understood. So he pockets that. Goes, at this point, I can read and write Russian. I will need more time, perhaps tonight while you're sleeping, in order to actually learn to hear and speak it. But at least any signage, any documentation, we should be able to translate. With that said, looking around, what type of stores or whatnot seem to be in the area, Jerome?
Right across the border at this point. This is all just kind of residential for the most part. It's and now that you're actually looking, it gives you a good idea of how kind of haphazard this all happened, right? Nobody would really set a border per se, or willingly anyways, right next to some residential areas. You usually don't. There's usually a big, a bit of space there, where there's a crossover. And then because of such, you would normally see storefronts and whatnot trying to pick up the tourists. But since nobody really crosses for that sort of thing, it's very dead for the first block. It's got some homes, it's got some old shops that look like they may service something. You're unsure, but they're not really hanging signs to advertise, so it's more like the locals might know them or whatnot. But as you go a little bit further down, you can see that they're based on the signs and whatnot, since you can read. If you keep going straight down a couple miles, not even a couple miles, it's not that big, maybe a mile, you're going to hit the main square of the of the town. And certainly, based upon the signs that you see here, that's a good bet that you're probably going to run into storefronts there.
Okay.
Are there any hostels nearby?
If you count Russian soldiers, yes.
No, not hostiles. Like youth hostels.
Like a hostel, like a
Youth hostel.
Yeah.
Oh, so place to lay your head. Well,
Yes.
you can't read, so it's kind of up to Hyperion to look for that sort of thing.
So Hyperion's gonna look around and read a few of the signs, and then look to the group and say, "Right. Apparently, if we continue down this road, it will lead us eventually to some sort of square. There should be more activity there. Perhaps we'll have ideas as to who to communicate with."
We should also be on the lookout of somewhere to stay for the night.
Correct. We will also need to determine how we are going to actually pay our way to obtain things if we need that. All things to determine as we move.
Mm-hmm.
Let's continue. As we head down the road.
Alrighty. One second. Boink. Lightbringer, you just got a free reroll from Davey.
Nice.
Man, my nose is bugging me. Changing temperature. All right, so the road that you're actually on right here is a main thoroughway. I am not going to attempt to pronounce it. Hard pass on that. The one I can positively identify is it's Carl something. But at any rate, yeah, it is mostly it's a main thoroughway that you guys are on right now. It is, so it's kind of going east to west. A lot of trees interspersed with the homes themselves. Eventually, though, as you guys are walking along, you do end up getting to what appears to be effectively the town square. It's a big municipal area, and from here, across the street, you can see there's a school set up there. It's got some nice trees and whatnot, but it's a school of some kind. The square, the municipal buildings and whatnot, it's kind of set up. It's like it's got it's like two buildings, three buildings, and there's I don't want to say like parks or plazas kind of interspersed in between them. In the very middle of it is kind of like this nice statue looking, to celebrate. I think it's Lenin specifically. One of their leaders, and it's got nice kind of red brick coming from all directions. There, near the school, is where you've got some of your shops. Like you've got a little bit of a plaza across the street from it. You've also got signs kind of marking, indicating like restaurants down this way or so on and so forth. You're kind of getting into the heart of this little illegal country.
Okay. So then, with Hyperion looking around, and he points out a few of those locations. So it seems that they have a school there. There's a plaza with various shops and restaurants that way. My initial idea would be for us to head to the school. It would be most likely, I believe, to find somebody who can speak English as well as Russian. That way they can communicate with us and perhaps give us some information. They may be the most learned individuals in the area.
Sounds good.
Sounds like a brilliant idea.
Okay.
Excellent.
Do you think if we looked for some kind of a government-looking building that we'd find who we're looking for there?
Possibly. It would seem that the fact that they are apparently using military personnel as police without separate police forces, that their government buildings would be those that are highly guarded. It would make it very obvious where they actually have a military presence. And it's doubtful that the one we're seeking is this close to their border.
Good point.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Plus, they should stick out like a sore thumb.
Speaking of which, you see all that right across the street.
Seriously?
Yeah.
All right.
So Mark turns around and, oh,
Well, look at
Like
that.
that. Well, let us make our way then to the school, see what we can find. So we go to the school.
Okay.
Yep.
So you head over to the school. The school itself is one second. That pulled up. So it's a two-story building. It looks like it probably serves primary because you can see like playground stuff out in the front. Given it's a poor country, their playground consists of one of those like old school metal pukomatics,
Okay.
as well as partially buried tires that have been judiciously painted joyful colors. I know I'm picking on them, but I mean, I always hated those.
So a brighter gray.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, since we're going monochromatic. Yes, it's
There
a
you go.
brighter shade of gray. The buildings itself, like the upper floor is painted yellow, and like the bottom floor is painted like this. Maybe it was red at one point in time, but now it's like this god awful kind of pinkish, which for the kids probably works out. But I mean, just looking at it, you're kind of like, eh. Like
Yeah.
I like they just, the colors just don't work. Sophie in another game right now is kind of going. It's lined with an actual metal gate, and it looks like there's probably a park like right in front of it, or a little bit, I should say. Grassy area where kids can be dropped off or picked up. Right next to the building, however, oddly enough, is another commercial building. It's not like residential by any means, but it's maybe it's even attached to the school. But when you look at it, it's actually a dance club, Hyperion.
Okay, like for like a discotheque or whatever, like for adults to be dancing at, or are we talking like a different type of?
Probably.
Okay,
Given how they phrased it on the sign.
okay,
So you can see the neon gray lights.
yeah, with all the shades of the monochrome.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Very fancy.
Okay.
And you hear coming from the inside.
What was
No,
that?
no, no. Disco.
What was that popular Russian singer who? I can't remember.
Some days you just
Oh,
can't get rid of a
Lollygaggers!
bomb.
Thank you very much for rating us. We got rated with a party of 17.
Ooh, nice.
It was just. I'll have to look it up later. There was this Russian Russian singer that dressed up in this really weird kind of sci-fi getup, and like the whole point behind his song was like he would sing in a high-pitched voice and go like sort of. It was weird.
Yeah, I know that guy, but I can't remember what his name is.
So back in game, but yeah, it's basically it's like a maybe they're just using part of the building for repurposing or something. But yeah, it looks like the school's on one half of the building, and maybe it continues behind it somewhere. Across from that, you see across from where those two bigger buildings are at. It's kind of like a driveway. It's not like an actual street. But there are small rows of they go about 5 long, and they are all storefronts, like small storefronts. And the first two you see look like that are actually in business. One is what appears to be a pharmacy based on what you're looking at for verbiage, I should say. And then the other is what's called like a do-it-yourself shop.
Okay.
It's an Ace Hardware.
But it's much smaller. And it's possible that the way some of these buildings are constructed, because they're all 5 of these going across are 2 stories apiece, that somebody could be living on top of it, which would make sense given the fact that everybody's got to make use of the room that they've got.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. So heading inside, do we find any teachers or
Going to
anybody
the
like
school?
that? Yeah.
I mean, so you step up, into the front. There's, a woman that comes walking out. She's probably acting as a secretary of some kind, or maybe just some sort of student administrator. And she's, you're gonna have to find a way to communicate specifically to her. I'm not going to say, because you can make out what it is she's saying. You just can't really speak it.
Right.
But in Russian, she kind of looks at all of you oddly, and she says, "Can I help you?"
Yeah. So then in English, he's saying, "We are all Americans. Do you speak English?"
So she hears that, and she's like, no English."
So Hyperion looks around. Does he see, like, at a nearby desk or anything, like a pencil or a pen and paper
Oh
or
yeah.
anything like
Oh
that?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and by the way, the room up here, the front of the school, back to the point that it was like a primary, like elementary, pictures and whatnot all up on, in the front office here, very much like you walked into an elementary school.
Got it. Okay. With the right amount of communist propaganda. peppered throughout,
100%. Yes, that is actually still here too.
yeah. Right. So then Hyperion, he's going to walk over, grab a pen, a sheet of paper, and then he's going to write down, "We are Americans. I can read and write Russian. We're hoping you can help us." And he writes that in Russian, of course, and then shows
Okay.
that to her.
So she looks at that, and it looks at you even weirder because she's never heard of somebody who can read and write but can't speak it. But it's working, so whatever. And so, so she communicates back to you and she says, this is a school for little children. Are you sure you're in the right place?
So then, he's of course like responding by writing down. So he's
Sure.
going to respond with, um, "We have lost our way and are trying to determine what's happening uh, in the area. We've heard Transnistria is possibly a dangerous place."
Okay, so with that, she's kind of, exasperated at the question you're asking, and she holds up her finger at this point and wanders off. They don't have a computer up here. Everything is old school. There's a typewriter. There's obviously there's two types of phones here. One that has a button, and then the other one that has like normal rotary kind of dial.
Okay.
Alarming what the one button phone might actually be for.
Right.
But as you come wandering in, well, I should say not wandering, but she comes, wandering back, and a slightly portly woman, probably in her 40s, comes walking up. She's got her long hair pulled back into a ponytail with a scarf that kind of helps keep the stray hair that might have fallen out of her ponytail from falling in, and of course helps with modesty purposes. Dressed like you would expect somebody, as a teaching something. So modest clothing, not revealing anything, long dress, comfortable flats. And in English, she says, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Did you mean to ask if this country was dangerous?
Ah, yes. I apologize. We've come a long way, as you can imagine. We're all from America. We're trying to make our way to find specific people in Transnistria, and we heard that, well, because of what happened here years ago with the, and he kind of is quiet about this and goes, the Russians who are here. We understand that, well, we didn't want to make ourselves unwelcome in this land, if that makes sense.
So she, at this point, she motions you to step outside, and the administrator sits back down, and she starts typing something, and she says, I really don't understand, but the way you're asking these questions are, you're going to attract the wrong kind of attention if that's what you're looking for.
I understand. I know that this is a risk. We're not trying to draw attention, as you could imagine, but we're on a mission that is somewhat secretive, and we're trying to find anyone who would act as a friend. We're trying to do what's right here, and hoping that you'd be able to help at least navigate us somewhat and explain what's happening in the area. If that's too dangerous, I understand.
So she looks around a second and then kind of peeks back into the door itself is one of those typical like office doors where it's just got the one pane of glass kind of coming up vertically on the one side, so you can still kind of look in, but otherwise it's a pretty solid door. So she takes a moment to peek in there, and she says, I don't know why you're here or why you say you have a mission, but the fact that I'm talking to you could get me in trouble.
What is it about?
She says, Everybody is watching for this sort of thing. Do you not understand where you are?
We have only heard rumors so far. Not much information seems to leave this place.
So she's speaking more in hushed tones at this point, and she says, I'm not going to make you roll your popularity because you'll never make it. She says, why don't you meet me at the Plazama? It's she says it's a coffee shop around the corner from here. She says at 4 p.m.
We can do that. Thank you. In the meantime, do you know any areas where tourists or us effectively could lay our heads if we needed to rest?
She says, well, we don't really have tourists that come through, but if you're looking for like a hotel, I mean, there's one on the other side of town. If you go over toward, I mean, she understands that you can read it, so it means you're probably gonna have to follow some signs. But if you go over, like you're going towards the Ukraine, it's the further into the city. If you get over near Republican Olympic Stadium, there's a place that you can. There's a small hotel that you can probably rent a room. Oh,
Excellent.
they actually have a street called Karl Marx, and it intersects with Lenin Street.
Nice.
In Transnistria?
Yeah.
Is Transnistria a real place?
Yes.
Oh,
Very much so.
Oh, I assumed you made it up.
No.
Not bad.
Nope. You can go Wikipedia that one.
Yeah, no, I've been looking at the map. I don't know exactly where we are on this map, but yeah.
If you're looking, if you're trying to find where you guys are at specifically,
Yeah.
you are on Strata Karl Lebnecht, right across from the Straub Karl Lebnik.
bless you.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess more accurately, because according to what I'm seeing, Transnistria runs the entire east coast of Moldova.
Yeah.
Or not the entire, but most of it. So I don't know.
Yeah,
north,
it's
south,
more
center.
longer than
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I'm sure you can find it this way. There you go. Since you're trying to look on the map. Point.
Like a town name would help or something. I don't know.
Aha.
Look for that big formation. That is where you were at. You were at
Oakley
school number
dokley.
14.
Nice.
School number 14. Love it.
Are we in Tiraspol?
Yes.
Okay.
Bam, got it. Yay. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Okay, so we're on kind of the of this sliver country.
Yeah. Okay. Then with that, he says, one last thing before we part and meet you later. We don't have much in the way of currency for purchasing anything here. Do you know where one could obtain work or some way of making money in the area?
Or exchange.
Yeah, she shakes her head. at that point, she's like, no, I don't. She says, you're the worst tourist ever, if that's the case.
Yeah, she's not wrong.
Understandable. Thank you. We'll meet again soon. So, and then turns to the group. Says, we should perhaps make our way to the hotel to see what we can find there. Unless anyone has other ideas.
Hyperion, why don't you give me a reason check?
Okay.
It sounds like we need to exchange our money for whatever currency is here.
Yellow feet.
Yellow feet. Okie doke. So on that note, as Shelley had said, you're going to need to exchange money if, and this is a big if, you trust Shone enough to give her your card. She could teleport back to the States and attempt to get some currency. The good news here is the American dollar is grossly higher than the Russian ruble, so it's not going to cost you much to do that.
Right. Okay.
She comes back with like $100, and we're like up here like,
Right.
We're the richest people in town. Okay. Yeah, good point. All right. So then Hyperion looks to Shone and says, well, instead of earning our money, we could simply transfer it. And he reaches into his wallet and takes out his card, hands it to her. Would you be able to return to the United States and obtain, let's say, $5,000 worth of Russian currency?
Where am I going to go and get that?
Probably a bank, like one of the bigger banks.
Head
Your
to the
local
largest bank in
Walmart.
Strongford. They should be able to assist you, or at least point you to where you can get that money exchanged.
And they're not going to question that I'm not you?
As long as you have my PIN, and he goes ahead and provides that subvocally.
Well,
You
don't we have?
You
Don't
could
we
just
all
go
have
to an
access to some?
you could just go to an ATM and withdraw the money, and then go to a bank to exchange it.
Can I withdraw that much?
Withdraw as much as it will allow you to. If we need to
Okay.
obtain this through multiple days, we can.
Okay. I'll be back then. I need to go somewhere where I can disappear without making a scene.
Correct. Looking around, are there any alleyways or something we could dip
yeah.
into for her
Yeah.
to? Okay. Yeah. So we'll
Okay.
make our way over there so she can do that.
Okay.
Okay, be back in a jiffy.
So you just walk on the one side of the building where the pharmacy's at, just out of sight, and poof, back into town. I'm not going to make you role play out through all that, because that's just going to needlessly drag down the game. So just as an FYI, back in '94, the Russian ruble, $1, one ruble basically, was worth, or I should say, it took, or no. It was
$1 is how many rubles?
Yeah. So, so hang on. Yeah. I need to go look that back up again. I'm saying it wrong. Yeah. So, basically $1 equaled roughly 22 Russian rubles. So by the time you've got your money pulled out, you've effectively got 110,000 rubles.
Have to remind me to tell you guys a story about ruples.
Bala.
So yeah.
Okay, so She's gonna return with some cash.
AFK.
Sure.
Okay.
So Shone returns at this point with a briefcase.
Okay.
That don't
Then
look suspicious at all.
Took her about it took her about 2 hours to get everything finished. So
Okay.
in the meantime, you guys were just kind of busying yourself, walking around and sightseeing a little bit.
right. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the card back and try to distribute a portion of the cash evenly amongst the team, so that there's as little as we can like have within the briefcase without like weighing ourselves down.
Okay.
Did she bring it in a briefcase?
Oh yeah.
Classic.
Can I still absorb anything at all?
Sure.
I may be able to store some of the funds.
I mean, if you just put it all in his body, you could store it all in Xenofreeze if you really wanted to.
That sounds disgusting.
You're like, oh, it's got silver on it. Ew. What is that? I believe that is a piece of my arm.
Stop pushing it out of there. I am not grabbing it no matter what.
Do you know where that money's been?
That's why that gives a whole new meaning to dirty money.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously, I missed something.
You did.
Storage
We're going to
jokes.
store. We're storing the money inside your dimensional half brother or uncle or whatever we are.
Okay.
Let's see.
We are
so
not.
Then,
We are not doing that.
right.
I mean,
No?
maybe some.
So
You can store yours however you want.
yeah. So
it's not like it's icky.
So
I mean,
do
if
we
you
have
don't
to?
have
Do we have to
pockets.
pull on something in order to get the money out?
Pull his arm down.
Okay.
right.
No, I
Like
would
a-
merely
like a casino.
gotta
modify
You got to get 3
modify
stars.
my flesh to open a pocket and store it within myself. It will be perfectly fine.
Or flip his head back and have a brick of it pop out like a Pez.
Like a Pez dispenser.
Oh, just
Does that mean we get to like punch him in the face to knock his head back?
It's like,
We're so violent.
it's all.
Right. Hey, 50 rubles. All right. So
We
Yeah,
don't
I-
need a briefcase. Yeah.
yeah, Hyperion will go ahead and gather the money and hand that then to Xenofreeze so he can store it.
Okay.
You will not gain interest upon this deposit.
Unfortunate.
It's not going to multiply.
I do not have that capability. Was my comment not humorous?
It was.
Sure.
All right.
You guys are like, oh my gosh. And so, because I am wearing clothing, I open up the shirt, like unbutton the shirt, and I just hold it on myself, and you see my flesh just kind of around it.
Sure. No problem.
Alrighty then.
And just a side note regarding that money, since we're talking about that right now. So in July of 1992, it was already pretty bad at that point. But by the time the history book says, by the time it got redenominated, I guess, or something like that in 1998, $1 equaled 6,000 rubles.
Jeez.
Yikes.
Yeah.
In
And that was in which
1998,
year?
You said?
That was in
98?
1998, yeah.
Holy
Ouch.
moly!
Ouch.
So it depreciated quick.
Yeah.
Should be like handing out a few dollars. Hold on to this. Do not open until 1998.
Okay. So now what time is it, Jerome? Is it close to when we need to meet the lady?
By this point, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's taking you some time to wander around. You guys haven't gone far. Obviously, you're just looking at the sites that are in this area. Again, they've done a pretty good job of making the place, despite it looking very old world. It's clean. You know, they're proud enough in that sense to keep everything picked up. The any trash cans you might see, they're not like overflowing, or nasty. But park benches are beat up looking, a little rusty, but still obviously serviceable. The trees here are green and healthy looking. Streets are kind of beat up a little bit, but it is what it is. But yeah, when you walk around, you have to walk about a half block around from the school to this place that she was referring to. And it's actually just on the other side of this, like the full school. Like you'd have to walk the full length of the distance and then come down and come down a side street to where this little cafe happens to sit. On the inside, it's got what passes for some neon lights. Since we're cracking jokes
Great.
about grayscale.
Yep, great.
But it's got a small little bar with several seats, lining up where a couple could sit on either side and chat or whatnot. And other than that, I mean, it still looks really old school, old world. Like it probably was a diner at one point in time, and somebody just says, we will make coffee bar," and just serve coffee. So I mean.
Hey, Mark.
Everything stopped modernizing around the 50s here.
Right.
Mark, maybe we should find out what her name is.
Excellent idea. So then, do we see her there? Is she waiting for us?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There are a couple other people in here, but she is just kind of nursing a drink right now. And there's a TV that's hung up. It is a black and white TV with rabbit ears. But no foil because they can't afford that high class.
Is it playing Dallas?
No, it's actually playing some Russian TV show right now.
Okay. Then go ahead and walk up. Is she like at the bar, or is she at like a table or booth or something?
She's actually at a booth right now.
Okay.
And there's a couple booths that line near the window.
Gotcha.
Maybe we should split up so that it doesn't look too suspicious for her.
Sure.
Excellent point. I'll be one of the first. Two of you can join me. The others can join a few minutes later.
Are we just going to kind of be orbiting the table, like not all of us sitting at the same table? Is that what we're looking to do?
Some of us can sit with her at the same booth. The others can sit in an adjoining booth.
Okay. Sounds good.
So Hyperion then walks up. Says, "We meet again. By the way, apologize, I didn't catch your name before."
So she's looking around real quick to make sure nobody's really, paying close attention. She says, "My name is Miss Petrova."
Thank you for speaking with us. Let me go ahead and sit down at the booth with her. So, it seems that anything that you need to say seems to be done in hushed tones. I take it then that information and propaganda of that sort is very strong here in Transnistria.
She nods and she says, the Russians are the ones who tend to control that right now. I mean, even though they are backing off of it, but there is the belief that outsiders will be coming here and attempting to cause problems or make a mess of everything that's gone on, and we just want to live in our country privately and quietly.
Have there been instances of anyone suddenly disappearing, perhaps being kidnapped by forces unknown?
She nods. I mean, yes, the secret police take care of that. And usually when that happens, that's because that individual was attempting to work against the government.
Were you here during the time before the Russian occupation of the area? Have you noticed the difference of before and after they arrived?
Yeah, she says yes. Yes, I have. It was. She says when I grew up here, we were a part of the Soviet Union, and the uh, when the Soviet Union was pulling back or changing their rules, they were releasing a number of the CCCP states, and Moldova obviously was one of them. But part of and so then Moldova became independent. But there were many people, particularly in this area, who still wish to remain within, because we have strong ties to Russia, that we wish to remain as Russian citizens. That led to the rebellion and the our independence from Moldova.
Is it your belief that the general consensus of the people here is to stay separate from Moldova, even though it's under this military regime? Or would they rather rejoin Moldova?
She says no. We don't see ourselves as Moldovans.
See. Would you consider treatment by those who took over this area of the populace to be, how should I put this, agreeable to the populace? I understand that we did just go over the fact that some people disappear, but in general, what seems to be the take from citizens of the area?
She shrugs and she says, I'm not a politician. I can't really say, but to the best of my knowledge and the parents that I talk to, they're all quite happy.
I see. Understood. Well, with that said, we're still trying to locate a specific individual. You may have heard of him, and if you cannot speak of it, I understand, because clearly it could be dangerous. But I'm sure you've heard of General Yanovich.
She shakes her head.
You haven't?
Is that a Russian general?
Yes, it's according to our knowledge, he was the actual leader of the regime that's currently in control of this area, Transnistria.
And she says, "Oh, no. We have our own government, but they kind of oversee that?
How do you mean? If they oversee it, are they not the ones who are effectively your government?
She says, no. They're here as peacekeepers. They were the ones that helped us break away, and they're the ones helping to maintain the peace. But they don't, to the best of my knowledge, they aren't involving themselves in the in our day to day.
I see. And he goes ahead and looks to those, because probably by now everyone's joined either at the booth or next door here.
Sure.
And he's looking at the group and going, what other questions can we ask? Am I missing anything?
I mean, if she can point us towards a military base, maybe we can just use our own eyes. You know, generally speaking, in places like this, at least on my Earth, the higher ranking guys stand out a lot. So, but other than that, I don't know.
Fair point. Then, Miss Petrova, do you know of any nearby military installations that might house perhaps higher ranking officials?
She says, I don't. I'm sorry. Again, I'm not a politician. I'm a school teacher.
I understand. Well then, while we're here, do you have any advice for us as far as who to talk to or not talk to, and what to say or not to say to ensure that we can try to keep ourselves out of trouble as much as possible?
She says you could stop being so obvious.
I love how blunt this is.
She
This is great.
says, I mean, she says, I still don't fully understand why you walked up to our elementary school asking if there were problems. She says it was everything I could do to keep the administrator from picking up the phone and making a call. She says if you're actual tourist, you should probably be touring the city and just observing.
I'm going to ask her what are all the naughty words in her country that she's not allowed to say.
So you want her to say them, so she gets in trouble.
Yes,
Perfect.
exactly. Exactly.
Arms come from off screen with shackles, yank her away. And like, oh no!
All right.
She says, if you were so concerned with, being, I guess, so obvious, you could just go straight to the Russian consulate.
Is there anywhere you would suggest we stay away from? Like
Parts of
either-
town.
Probably
Yeah.
the Russian consulate.
She says, the closer you get to the Ukraine, it's rougher territory.
Okay.
It's open countryside, but she says, but don't let that fool you, because there are people in the Ukraine who are attempting to capitalize in the situation, and because we don't have our own official police force yet, they're constantly testing the Russians. So Russians see anyone out there that doesn't quite line up, you're probably asking for trouble.
Fair.
Excellent. Well, Miss Petrova, we understand that this was somewhat dangerous for you, but thank you for your time and consideration.
So I mean, she shrugs as she says, is there anything I can get for my trouble? I mean, I've risked quite a bit just coming here to try and tell you this, given how you announced yourselves.
Give her some money.
Yeah, he pulls out like 100. Okay, so that'd be like
Maybe gauge by the cost of coffee, and just do a little math from there.
Yep. So looking at the menu, how many rubles is a cup of coffee?
One second. Oops.
Making him work.
That way, it won't draw as much attention.
Yeah, just
She
like
suddenly,
suddenly give her like
buys
500
a
rubles for a cup
yeah.
of coffee. You're like, oh my goodness, I can buy a TV.
You buy 3 TVs.
We don't want to make trouble for her.
Let's see. I'll probably have to guess at this. Oh, stop that. So we will say it would be the equivalent. We'll say it would be the equivalent of like two rubles.
2 rubles. Okay. Then go ahead and hand her 100 rubles.
Okay. And so she's like, sees that you just set that down, and she quickly swipes it off the table.
Good call.
Mm-hmm.
And he nods and stands up and starts heading out.
Okay.
So joining the rest outside of that cafe, he then sub-vocalizes and says, per her instructions, we should then make our way towards the central most part of the city and begin to observe, see what we can see over the next few hours. See if we can find where specific buildings are going to be that might house the general, or at least one of his lieutenants.
Yeah. So we need to act like tourists.
Okay. Anybody got a camera?
I wonder if. I mean, I can fly and I could cloak myself, so I could maybe do an aerial survey, see if there are any buildings that look notable. Maybe give us an idea where to look.
Excellent idea. While you're doing that, the rest of us can be on the ground. I'll make sure to stay with everyone so that we can make our way and obtain things that would allow us to fit in, such as perhaps different carrying cases, cameras with film, notepads with paper. That way we can communicate. Things of that nature. We'll be purchasing things as tourists.
Maybe get a couple of the dictionary, English, Russian dictionary things.
We'll see if they have a bookstore in the area. Let's make our way to a place where you can cloak and begin to fly. So we go into that handy-dandy alleyway so Lightbringer can do her thing.
And Ninja Vanish?
Bam.
I'm not
Do you want me to roll for it?
No.
Okay.
So you guys see her disappear. She takes off into the sky.
Do you want me to roll for looking for anything
Oh,
notable?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, you see everything.
So that's going to be your intuition.
Okay.
Hey, Shelly, can you make sure you mute your phone or mute your mic when you're doing whatever that was?
Oh,
Ticky-tacky.
sorry.
No
I was
worries.
dealing with the furry.
White. Can I use a reroll?
You absolutely can. If you already have one.
White. I will use another reroll.
Wow. Yeah, you went the wrong
Ouch.
direction on that one.
Can I use some luck points?
Yeah,
not
you know
luck,
what? So,
karma.
what's your intuition at?
It is at 40.
40.
Wow,
Okay.
out of 40 and you're still getting all white? Good
Yeah.
grief.
It's me.
I know.
So, how about we spend at least 30 so that green is guaranteed?
Okay.
Sound good, everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
Cool.
great.
That's what
Okay.
we'll do.
She's gonna roll like an 89.
Yeah, that's usually what happens.
Right.
51.
So,
So
51
she got like a
plus
yellow now.
81.
30, 81. Yep, that's going to be yellow then.
Figures.
All right, so as you are flying around, getting a good look at the town, you probably took the scenic route and got distracted a little bit. That's why you were having such a hard time finding anything that stood out to you. But you fly around, you end up finding, that they have a museum in town, or they have like a museum and a cinema, like the square that's actually further from where, much further south than where you were originally. And you got another reroll thanks to Dale.
Thank you.
You've seen that there are some nicer looking hotels, probably back from the point when Tiraspol was still a part of Moldova, as opposed to now, because clearly it's not a part of any sort of larger country. You do end up starting to get on the outskirts of Tiraspol, following the winding Dniester River. You end up coming to what looks like it was probably a it might have been like a sports complex at one point in time, or maybe it was going to be, because it's not quite built up yet, but it's a lot of open area. And in this location that looks like it was probably going to be some sort of sports center, probably for soccer, since soccer is a big deal to most Europeans, and it is to those of Transnistria, which that is also a real story. That was a big deal when they finally made it in. I forget what cup they made it in. I don't think it was a World Cup, but they actually made it into like a big level event at one point, and they were like super stoked. And their official pitch, which is what they call their field, is like, it would barely qualify as like a high school stadium to us. Like, it was terrible looking. Stone seats and everything. It's like, wow, did the ancient Greeks make this?
Back
So
when they played soccer.
yeah, well, I mean, they kicked heads around. But you get there, and basically it's a series of 4 buildings that are kind of lined up in a square, and it looks like they probably had something going in the middle. The buildings, 2 of the buildings are still in a state of disrepair because they were never finished. So they have that look, where what the heck do they call them? It's the metal coming up out of the supports.
Rebar.
Rebar, thank you. So they've got parts where rebar is just jutting out where they didn't finish connecting the wall or finished setting pillars up or something. But as you fly over there, and it's now getting later in the day, you can see that in the middle of what are these 4 buildings, there are a lot of tarps. Like people have put up tents to help cover and make it kind of a little bit dimmer, and you can see that there's light kind of emanating from under the canvases and tarps that they've got thrown up. And in the field around it, there are, dozens of cars, parked very haphazardly. So it's clear that it's not like an actual parking lot. It's just, line up in as best you can in a field.
Can I get close enough to see what they might be doing?
You're invisible. You sure can.
Okay, I'm going to be cautious. I mean, there are things that can see through that and detect people.
There are, yes.
So I'm gonna be
so
careful.
How close are you going to get? Because right now you're above everything, like where the tarps are. So you can either, while still being invisible, like attempt to enter on the ground level.
No.
You could. You want to like hover above it and try to peek through the cracks in the tarp to see what's going on?
Well, can I? So if the tarps are like here,
Mm-hmm.
can I kind of sneak to the side and see, maybe like peek underneath, or like until I can see a person?
Yeah, you're gonna have to. If you're gonna do something like that, you're gonna have to hover above it.
Okay. Also, I might do like an empathy check on the tent area.
Sure. You could do that too.
Okay. I'll do that. I'll do that first,
Okay, so
and then I'll get closer.
go ahead and give it a roll. Psyche.
Psyche. Oh, I think I went too fast. Oh, no, I used... Okay. White.
All right. Well,
Okay, we'll just go in.
okay. Gave you guys a screenshot of what it looks like from above. So you start lowering down. Obviously, you cannot make out what's being said at all. But whatever is going on, it is busy. And you can see people kind of coming back and forth. And you can hear some music being played. Even though you can't understand the language, you understand what's going on. This is an outdoor flea market of some sort.
Oh, so people are kind of casual. They're not like in uniforms or...
Nope. You could, you can't make out everything, but like as you kind of peek around and lift up, the tarp a little bit to get a better view, you could see like somebody's got a stall. I mean, it looks very much like our open air flea markets.
And they're selling like normal expected goods, not like contraband.
No, you see Levi's here.
Okay.
So it's clear some people here have gotten in somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So keep in mind, in countries like this, like in Russia, around this time frame, in places like Japan and in Russia, obviously Transnistria and whatnot, you couldn't get Levi's.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you should say that, because we were talking about exchange students earlier before game. And I had a French exchange student when I was in high school. And I mean, she came and stayed with our family. And the one thing that she really wanted to do while she was here was to buy some Levi's.
Yep. Levi's were all that in a bag of chips in the 80s and 90s, especially overseas.
Yeah.
I knew missionaries who would load up on Levi's while they were back home and then go over to Japan and resell. And it would help fund their mission.
Well, Okay, so now that I've kind of understood what this is there? I'll go back up in the air. Is there anything else that stands out?
Well, the location. If you find it on the map, it's clearly out of the way as far as the city's concerned too.
Okay, so we would have to explain how we found it.
Possibly, but it doesn't look like because you're flying around a little bit. They've got people that are monitoring the entranceways that come in, but they're not like hand waving wands or anything of that nature. It doesn't look like they have anything like high tech. It looks like they're just here probably as peacekeepers or just to keep an eye on stuff.
Are they in uniform?
More like no,
Okay.
they strike you more as like bouncers than anything.
Okay. So besides the flea market, anything else that seems notable?
You floated around town, you find the base camp where the Russian military is set up.
Okay. Is that worth taking a look at?
You sure can. Yeah, it's on the other side of town. I'll just go ahead and give you a higher view screenshot so you can see it. Basically, they are set up at the only airfield here in the area. The Russian military that's here, they've got a couple temporary buildings that look like they've been erected. They've got a boatload of tents in the area. You can clearly see that they've got some military vehicles parked here. Most of which are not that you would really know what military vehicles look like or what they do or whatnot. But you do know what is a tank and what's not a tank. And you don't see a whole lot of tanks. You see a bunch of like Jeeps and Jeeps that look like they're probably more armored.
Okay.
There are a couple obvious tanks, but it's you don't get the opinion by just kind of flying over it that this is a military force designed to go in and occupy Moldova.
Okay. So that done, I will sub-vocalize. Where are you currently located?
And Hyperion goes ahead and tells her like whatever.
Maybe
shop.
like a landmark.
Yeah, exactly. We'll head towards the Lenin statue. You should find us from the air as you're flying that way.
Okay, she will touch down in an alley close by and then come out and join him.
Okay, fair enough. So it's evening time at this point. There are still military guards around, but as these are municipal buildings, it's clear that it's past their hours of working. So really, there's only guards here monitoring things. There are some people kind of wandering to the square occasionally, just taking in the sights or just going for a walk. But otherwise, nothing else, exciting going on in this particular part of town.
Okay, so we don't have a map, do we?
Nope.
When we were like shopping while she was flying, can we say that like within one of the shops we were in, like Hyperion would have bought a map and some trinkets or whatever? Would that be available?
That may not be available. I'll tell you what. I'll give you a roll for it. Hold on a second.
I guess if it's a small enough town, people. I mean, they don't have visitors, so.
Right.
Precisely. Not only do they pretty much know where they need to go, they don't really get visitors. So.
Yeah.
While we are walking around and stuff, observing the people around us, I mean, do they feel like? I mean, does it seem like they're oppressed?
No,
Okay. I think we need
not to the best
to.
of your knowledge. I mean, no
Yeah.
one seems to be like cowering or trying to get out of the way of the Russian guards, or some person standing on a street corner espousing the glories of communism. Everybody just seems to be kind of like trying to do their own thing. And what do you call Dale, odd, or even?
Odd.
Okay, so you do not.
Okay. All right. So then, yeah, Hyperion will be like, we unfortunately don't have maps of the area. I looked, but none seem to be for sale.
That makes
Well,
sense
I'll be right
in
back.
a city this small.
maybe we should find that hotel and compare notes. I have some concerns.
Yes, we do need to discuss what we've learned so far. Let's make our way to the hotel. Make sure to get at least 2 or 3 rooms that we can share.
Okay.
So we head towards that hotel. The what was it called? What's that?
I didn't give you one. I just told you it was across the street from the Olympic Sport
Oh yeah,
Stadium.
there we go. Yeah.
Further down the street.
Cool.
But yeah,
Yeah, we'll just head
so
there.
I mean, there's obviously not a whole lot of call for needing the rooms. So when you come walking in, some old, hefty-looking guy comes, hobbling down the stairs, and it's a hotel that goes up like 3 stories. It's got the dangling light bulb, coming from the ceiling or whatnot. Real old school looking place, and he looks to everybody, and Hyperion, you understand him to say, what can I help you with?
And so he looks around and he makes like the motion of like being able to write down on paper, like a pen and paper.
So he looks at you kind of funny, and then he looks around for a second and pulls a scrap piece of paper, slaps it down, and puts a pencil next to it.
Nods, takes that, and in Russian, um, we are looking for 3 rooms for the night. Shows it to him.
Okay, so he shrugs at that point and then tells you, for 3 rooms, it's gonna be 20 rubles a night.
Goes ahead and nods and produces 60 rubles. Buys that to the guy.
So he's like, okay. Well, he scoops the money up, as odd as this transaction is, and he types it up on his register and then slams the money down in there, and he gives you these they're like yellowing plastic keys that got like this god awful like dangly keychain that's just a flat piece of plastic. They look more like obscene tags that you would attach to a key that somebody has for the gas station bathroom than anything else.
Okay.
But it's got the key on there, and then he motions for your group to follow him.
Go ahead and follow.
And he walks, up the flight of stairs to the top floor, and then he motions to the 3 rooms that you guys have rented.
Okay.
Nods to him and hands out the keys.
And he shows you the key, the symbol, basically, which is the number, and then he points to the door so you can match up the symbol, because he gets that there's clearly a communications issue here.
Right. So nod to him, let him walk off back to what he's doing, pass out the keys, and then say, let's head inside our respective rooms, and then speak subvocally.
That works. Billy,
So,
pick a
oh,
room at random.
Okay.
so of course,
The right door.
the girls are together, of course.
Maybe we should put the girls on the center room.
Sure.
Because Russian cooties.
No, just in case, just for security.
I kid.
So we all get in our rooms, and once we're all situated, then Hyperion subvocally. So, to Shon's point earlier, we do have things to discuss based on what we've learned from Miss Petrova and what we've been witnessing. First off, Lightbringer, did you find anything noteworthy on your patrol?
Yeah, the most noteworthy thing is that there isn't really anything that noteworthy. I found the army base on the other side of town, and it doesn't look hostile at all. It's very chill. I didn't really see any armored vehicles. Um, and then on the other side of town, I found, like, out of the way, I found a big flea market where people are selling Levi's and other just normal stuff and having a good time. Seemed also very chill. So
Yeah, it
I don't
doesn't
know.
seem like these people are oppressed at all. And according to the school teacher, they like
The
things the way
Russians.
they are.
Well,
So,
so hang on. We may not be seeing it, but she straight up said that she could get in serious trouble just for talking to us, that there are things that she's
That is
not allowed
true.
to say. I mean, that's oppression. So, we may not be seeing people getting beat down in the street with the butt of a rifle, but it's clearly like we just
Not a
haven't seen it
free.
yet. Right. Yeah. It's not.
That's
Yeah.
true. And the flea market was well outside of town, so that, I guess, is a clue that that's not really acceptable in town.
Maybe. Possibly. Sure.
She also mentioned that anyone who spoke against the government disappeared. It is
Yeah.
assumed that they are one of two things, either enslaved or imprisoned or dead.
Yeah.
well, isn't that the way it is in most of the third world countries, regardless
Well,
of their
it's
government?
still an oppression, right? I mean, some, not all, but some.
I just don't want to do something that these people
That
are
is going
not
to
going to
make things
want.
worse.
Yeah.
Right. Totally get it.
So let's recap what all we know about this um, General Yanovich.
Yes, General Pyotr Yanovich. What we know so far is apparently that he is the leader and head of the Transnistrian military regime that took over Transnistria several years ago. They are seemingly backed by the FSB, the Russian intelligence agency that's currently in power.
Do
He
we know that he's in Tiraspol or is he in the capital?
That's just it. We don't know exactly where he would be. Theoretically, he would be somewhere in
Tiraspol is the
Transnistria.
capital, is it not?
Oh, it is?
It is.
Mhm.
Oh, I looked at the map and I thought it was Kishinev or whatever.
Well, that's of Moldova.
Oh.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, this is a breakaway region.
Gotcha.
That was a part of Moldova. So if you look at our maps, it's still going to show this as a part of Moldova.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's why. Okay. My bad.
No,
I
that's
withdraw.
fine.
I withdraw the comment.
Go ahead and keep role playing. Be right back.
I don't know. I'm just no longer comfortable in this situation.
Let me
It just seems like
propose.
our information is inaccurate.
I believe the information is relatively accurate, but of course it was being given a spin based on the individual who provided it to us.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
Baron Damocles and those that are a part of the Moldovan politics or military will clearly want what was their land back, even if the individuals here might not be up in arms. At the same time, I wonder what it would be like if we were to come upon a cult. All of the members of the cult would not want to leave the cult. Such is the mindset of cult members. Propaganda and various intensities of brainwashing and social engineering can have communities of people believing in things that aren't real or accepting things that they should not accept, such as the oppression that Billy has already mentioned. The school teachers themselves had a special phone line that seems as if it would actually be used to announce outsiders or those who are against the regime. This lack of freedom clearly runs deep. Even if the individuals might not be outspoken about their situation, I wonder if their lives would objectively improve if we were to intervene. Also, think of any first world nation that uses their military as a police force. What would that tell you about that region?
That it thinks it needs to subdue through strength.
Do we feel morally obligated to stop that subduction, to stop that oppression here? Even if the individuals here might not want it, or at least a portion of them might not want it, could it objectively be better for them in the long run?
Well, what would fill the vacuum if we did?
Moldova themselves, theoretically. It's not as if this place is an isolated location.
I mean, I hate to say this, but I just hear Freddie's voice in the back of my head saying we shouldn't be messing with this.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the main reason we came here was not necessarily to free the local non super endowed people, but more over to look for the super powered folks and free them because they're the ones that are currently being tested, abused, or whatever, correct?
Yes,
Right.
but we agreed with the Baron that we would overturn while we were here. We would overturn this government.
Yeah, right.
The likelihood that we would be able to gain the information we need without doing that would be extremely low, seeing as how the individuals with the information regarding the Ubari interaction with the Russians is going to be held by high-ranking officials, such as the general.
Yeah. Fair.
So, any suggestions on how we find this general?
What about um, evidence of mainframe? Is that something that that's something that we're looking for here too, right?
Evidence of mainframe would be indicative of there being large amounts of electronics in locations where it wouldn't make sense for that to be. Were you able to see anything of that nature when you were flying?
Jerome, would I have noticed anything like that?
That is a great question. You were uncertain. You didn't get a good view. You'd have to go inside to investigate. But
Yeah,
if there was
I didn't
anything like
notice
that,
anything
it would probably be taking place there.
taking place where.
There.
At the flea market.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I didn't see anything offhand, but kind of think we should check out the flea market tomorrow.
That would make sense. If you mention that they are that far outside of town and they're selling Levi's denim, I believe that is a black market good here, or at least very close to it.
We should also find out if we can't like hire a driver while we are here who wouldn't mind making some extra money toting us around. And they would know this place better.
They would. However, it would seem that asking individuals for help is a double-edged sword.
Mm.
Every individual we ask, we are automatically putting in danger.
So maybe we buy a car?
We can take a look to see what they cost. With the exchange rate, we may be able to purchase one outright. So, tomorrow, we'll look
Would
for a
they not have
conveyance.
a rental agency?
Depends on the sophistication of the area. A rental agency would be for locations that experience great amounts of tourism, which this location is not. We
Yeah, I
might
don't-
even have problems finding a car to purchase, but it's at least something to accomplish.
Well, if we offer the right amount of money, it shouldn't be that hard to get a car.
True.
There's a Mazda dealership.
In 2023.
Oh yeah. And another one. I saw 2 car dealerships actually. But
Yeah, don't treat that necessarily for accurate data.
So then, as far as what to accomplish for tomorrow, first, we'll find a conveyance, a car, truck, or some such that we can purchase outright, and then travel in. We'll then see if we can make our way to that outskirts flea market. When we approach, we would need to approach with perhaps knowledge of what we're trying to find. We're going to stand out, but other individuals there will probably stand out given what they're selling. Any thoughts or suggestions?
Should have brought some more stuff from the States.
I
To
mean,
sell.
you could always pop back and get some.
There is
Yeah.
also the idea that we're simply here to purchase rather than sell. We do have a significant amount of money compared to those who are here. That
Yeah.
might be all we need.
True.
But what would we want to purchase? What would be the reason we're going there?
Well,
is it not common that tourists window shop, as you so put it?
well, what about? Okay, I'm gonna out of character. When we went to Russia, we were able to do some wheeling and dealing with like sidewalk, and I'm putting in quotation marks, vendors for like Russian hats, like the military Russian hats. My mom brought home 3, one for each of my brothers. Like the Russian dolls, the ones that God, I can't remember what they're called, but they're the nesting dolls.
Matryoshka.
Stuff like
I think.
that would
Bless you.
be stuff that tourists would want to buy. But like I know that we were in Russia and Poland about this time in our game time. So like getting like the Russian military hats would be like a big one.
If they have American food, then we could pretend that we're expats traveling around and we miss our own food.
Yep.
Billy says, bootleg concert recordings.
Huh.
Well, I mean, if we
Interesting.
find any,
Michael Jackson.
Hey, Ozzy had a killer one live at Budokai that was a very pirated album back in the day, right around that time frame. So stuff like that would be very applicable.
So I
But
suppose it
whether
will
or not it's
depend on what you
available or
find.
not, but it's very applicable in those third world countries like that.
Yep.
It's a good point. So we just need some kind of a
So it would be kind of like
excuse
souvenir
or explanation
contraband.
of how we found out about it.
Perhaps simply bribing the individuals when we arrive would be sufficient, depending on how
Well, if they
secretive they are.
if they see our money, they may not care.
Precisely.
And Davey
We
is
at least
suggesting
have-
that you take over Transnistria and set up your own kingdom.
Hey, Davey. Good
Just
call.
take this game.
Done.
Just take this game into a new, direction. We're just evil now.
Right. There goes all our karma.
Only if we fail.
So we're going to start gaining reverse karma.
We're
Right.
gonna get evil karma.
Yeah, instead of good karma, it's bad karma.
Is it evil karma?
Yeah.
All right. We at least have then several ideas of what we can do. We have effectively money to flash around for bribes or for information, to purchase various items. While we're there, of course, our real goal is to obtain information, which likely we will again need to pay for. Information we need. What questions do we have?
Well, first of all, we need to find this general.
I'll be right back. It's good night prayer time.
Gotcha.
We could, of course, ask for their viewpoint on the Transnistrian Russian occupation of the area.
Yeah.
Woo!
Okay, so how are we going to communicate that?
Tonight, I will use Moshpit's mobile device to learn how to speak Russian, so I will at least be a translator. The vocal encoder device that New Prussia has developed, does it have a Russian translation?
It does, actually.
Lightbringer
We at
would
least
know
have-
that firsthand.
Is it going to be okay to flash that around, do you think?
That depends on its operation. Clearly, it would be high tech, and if used in front of others, it would garner attention. So it'll depend on when and where we use that. Using that at the black market might be better than using it around here.
Jerome, remind me how it works.
It looks like a big stick, kind of like a charger for phones or mobile devices or whatnot. And you speak into it one end because a microphone, and then the speaker kicks out the other. So kind of like a microphone, a little bit.
Okay, like a little recorder.
Yep.
Okay. So maybe we split up into two groups, and one of us takes the translator and one of us takes you.
Excellent. Then, with me, I will be taking Shone and Moshpit.
Okay.
Right.
We will form two teams after we get there with our car. Perhaps we could buy two, depending on the availability and how much they cost. Then we'll split up when we're there, after we enter, and see what information we can get. The main information, of course, is the general's location. We also want to know about the Transnistrian occupation, any other tidbits of information that might be useful. anything suspicious, like military activity, that we could look into? Can anyone think of anything else that we could obtain while we're there?
I mean, not off the top of my head.
We're sorry, I'm having like a brain fart. Were we worried? We were worried about SPBs going missing here, right?
That would seem to be a possibility. It would seem that SPBs have been kidnapped and are being used by the Ubari as possible weapons versus the
That's right.
Tabaxians.
That's going to be a hard thing to introduce into conversation, though.
We can simply ask
remember
about
how
suspicious
well
activity.
it went. How well it went earlier.
True.
Okay.
We will have to play it by ear to see how much information they're willing to divulge, whether we provide bribes or not.
Okay.
All right. Get some good rest, everybody. Tomorrow morning, we'll make sure that you're all fed, and then we'll purchase our car and take off.
Sounds like a good plan.
Sweet dreams.
To those who
Wheel
need it,
transition.
sweet dreams.
Yeah. And so in the meantime, Hyperion's using the mobile device to learn how to understand and speak Russian.
Okay. So you've already spent the karma for that.
Yep.
You are good. Going through simple verses. Where is the toilet? How much for this vodka? Which
Extremely
direction
important questions.
Yep. Which direction is north?
Sweet.
Show me to your premiere. That sort of thing,
Yeah.
Do we all have separate rooms?
We have 3 rooms to share.
Oh,
For 5 people, and the girls took up 1.
I mean, as far as anything goes, like Xenofreeze wouldn't care if who he was with because, and I mean, the girls would have a problem with it, but as far as he's concerned, he's like, it doesn't matter whose room I'm in. I really don't care because
Yeah, maybe we should have only gotten 2.
Well, Hyperion is planning on getting his own room because he's going to be like speaking and learning this, so he didn't want to like keep people awake because he's just going to
Gotcha.
be awake
That'll work.
himself.
That makes sense. Okay.
I can shut down my hearing.
So,
Kind of.
you guys rest for the rest of the day. Let it go, or the evening, I should say. Let it go past. Waking up, those of you who need to eat, you need to eat. Your stomachs, of course, are letting you know you did not get dinner last night.
Oh,
So it is highly suggesting that you get breakfast.
Yes.
Otherwise, the beds, nothing really to write home about. They're kind of squeaky. They're probably a bit too firm. Occasionally, you can feel a spring a little bit too close to the surface.
it's better than what I had in Fairside.
Do we hear like anything like crawling on the floor?
No, nothing like that.
Ixion.
Yes, Ixion crawling on the floor, right? Because he can't turn to a puddle, so he's just like creeping around on all 4s for no reason.
This is the closest I can get.
I'm like, bloop, bloop.
Are you all huddled up in the bathtub?
You're right.
But when you
Oh.
when you wake up, as refreshed as you could be, for Billy, this is probably similar to some of the dives that he stayed at, after a gig or something. So it's not terrible, it's not great,
Oh my gosh. That was a loud truck.
Sorry.
Oh,
It was probably mine.
Yep,
I mean, my
she lives near a
street.
busy corner.
oh,
I thought the microphone would cut down on it, but it's too powerful.
Oh, it's cutting down on some. But sometimes when you get those vehicles with like that heavy bass reverberating as they rumble on,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
some like automatic, not automatic, some manuals like just they're obnoxious going through my intersection. They're so bad.
Right.
Yep.
I don't
But-
understand. I just want to like throw rocks at them.
I don't care if this isn't Christian of me, just eat rocks.
Don't be a jerk.
But
Just
anyway,
make
Trying
sure,
to sleep.
just make sure you put "bless you" on the rocks, and you
There
should
you
be
go.
okay.
There you go.
so
Have a nice day.
exactly. Like I said, you feel as refreshed as you possibly could be. Those of you who do need to eat should probably eat soon. It is early in the morning. It's cold out.
Yeah.
Given where you're at, you can actually visibly see the dew on the plants outside. You can hear some music playing all the way downstairs. It's not super loud, but it echoes coming up the hallway. From the front desk.
We could drink some vodka to warm ourselves up.
Oh God.
That is true.
Is that how that works?
Oh yeah, they drink it like water.
So
Cleaner
Don't know
than
how
some of
that
the
would
water.
work.
And it's made from potatoes.
This is true.
I don't know how that would work with my anatomy.
Now's a good time to try.
Okay, well, if we can get breakfast at like a little,
It's got to be a little cafe
Wherever.
or something nearby.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You guys get dressed back in your clothing. Go walking down, the 3 flights of steps, and as you get down to the bottom floor, the guy at checkout again, he was partially asleep because it's like 7 in the morning at this point. But he sees you come walking out and he flags you down.
yeah, well, Hyperion walks over.
And now that you apparently can speak and understand Russian,
that's gonna surprise him.
yeah, explain that one.
Right.
But yeah, he's just like
Fluently, no less.
yeah. So he's like, my friends, are you going to stay another night?
And he's gonna make it sound like his Russian is a little bit broken, and he's gonna be just simple about it, and it'll be like, we might, yes, 20 per night again.
He says, he says, how you're tourist? Yes, tourist.
Yes, Americans.
And he says, I love America. He says, Bruce Springsteen, the boss.
Well, at least he didn't say Michael Jackson.
Billy tries to knock out a few, riffs of one of Springsteen's songs.
Born in the USA. Okay, yeah.
Sure, yeah, born in the
so-
USA. Perfect.
Sure, yeah, no problem. And he's like, yeah. Born in the US of A. He says, I cut you special deal. He says, 15 rubles rest of the week. So that's 4 more days.
Yes, good deal.
And he says, my son could use a job. You need chauffeur? You need driver?
And Sean,
Yes.
even though Sean can't understand what they're saying, she's going to lean in to Mark and say, "Ask him about a car."
He actually just did. His son is a driver.
Oh,
Carmen will say.
He's like 11.
maybe.
Carmen will say,
Right.
ask him if he gets a lot of Americans.
You get lots of Americans here?
Oh, no. We don't get tourists much at all.
Ask him where it's a good place to eat.
Where eat breakfast close by?
Wow.
Got to throw in
He's
the
doing
wrong
great.
word like every so often.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, where eat breakfast toiletto?
Donde está la Biblia? Oh, wait, wrong.
Whoops,
Biblioteca.
wrong language. Then watch him really kind of go like,
Yeah.
He's and so he thinks for a second and he says he gives you an address. It's actually just around the corner. He says the stadium has a full diner.
Excellent. So he goes ahead and he provides the money for the 4 nights worth of rooms. He's just going to pay for that up front.
Yeah, so he's just you see the rupee signs come up, in his eyes at that point. Making a nice quick buck, and so he's ringing the bell at this point, and you see he's probably like pushing 20 at this point. On the lanky side, his clothes don't quite fit. Everything he's wearing is like a bit too big. He's got a belt that's kind of latched to his his pants, kind of tight, and he tells the kid in Russian. He says, you will drive around these tours, show them the town. They will pay you good. And he's just like waking up. He's looking around. He says, oh yeah.
Is he kind of cute?
You know what? Didn't plan on it. We'll call.
Is he like?
Is he
My lazy son needs a job, or like?
The impression that you get is, yes, my lazy son needs to get a job, but you can't really, understand what he's saying.
Sure.
But you guys are also throwing around money he clearly never
Goku
anticipated.
bucks.
So, the enterprising person is the one who gets the most money. That's just all there is to it. Especially in a communist state where, everybody's supposed to be making the same amount. Okay, so odd or even, Shelley?
Odd.
Okay. All right, so he looks like the Russian version of Ernest.
Oh my god.
Odd is right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be doing that much flirting.
Worrell.
Love that guy. But I don't know that I would date him.
Ernest P. Gorbachev.
Yeah, we'll be doing
so,
any flirting.
So he comes walking up. He's a bit on the tall side. He's about 6 foot. And he says, my son will take you around. He says, show you all the sights. 10 rupees per day?
10 per day for the first day, and he gives him 10 more rubles.
Okay.
And that's like 50 cents.
If you're American.
Yeah.
And so the kid goes to pick it up. The guy slaps his hand down on it real quick, and then basically exchanges it and gives him only half. And the guy, the kid looks at him and he's like, and he ends up saying, yeah, he's like, you ate all the cereal last night.
Wow.
Plus, if I was not here, you would not have this money. Take this 5. He's like, oh, takes it and pockets it.
All right. So then Apirian goes, thank you. And then he turns to the boy. He says, what's your name?
Oh, he says, my name is Yuri.
Yuri.
Well, Yuri, my friends and I need breakfast. Can you drive us to the diner your father talked about?
Oh, sure, of course. That's not a problem. Let me bring the van around. So he goes out and brings this Russian version of a Sprinter van. It's got rims around the wheel that are rusting, from too many winters. It's got some tape holding up one of the windows in place.
Yeah.
And clearly it does not adhere to American standards of smog emission.
Right.
But it's big enough for all of you.
Hey, Billy, maybe you can give them a concert tonight. A Bruce Springsteen
Oh, I was going to say,
concert.
I'm going to have to brush up on my Springsteen, but I could probably work something out.
Do people still know
Wow.
Springsteen where you're from?
I mean, he's considered classic. He's not alive anymore, but, well, he's definitely not alive now, but he wasn't alive when I left. So, that I'm aware of. I don't
So-
think he pulled an Elvis.
Yuri at this point is like really confused.
Wait, is Elvis still around where you're from?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh. Okay.
Wow.
And he
So,
says, Bruce Springsteen is dead?
Oh, he knows English?
Yeah.
You understand English?
Yeah, he looks around and he's like, yes?
Oh. Well, that's helpful.
And Carmen
Very.
just feels like,
When did Bruce Springsteen die? We don't get the news here.
No,
he's
he's not
still alive.
dead. We were joking. We're talking about a different story.
I meant metaphorically. Like, some places don't like his music anymore.
And he's like, oh, bah. And fires up the diesel engine at this point to the van and drives you guys off to basically the
diner.
restaurant that he was referring to. And it literally is. It's a part of the stadium. And people, really, if you wanted to get cheesy, you could probably hop over the counter and run through the kitchen and get out onto the field. But there are still guards posted and everything. But essentially, it's something that's built into the field that serves people on the day to day. But it's big business is whenever they have a game.
Okay.
And so there's a couple people, camped out there, just getting some usual. The smell of like eggs and hash, and bacon and it's prime. Like it smells almost like any other grill you would expect.
Oh, and I'm hungry. I could eat everything on the menu.
So Yuri at this point flags down the guy behind the counter and he says, "My friends require a cow. Bring us a cow."
All right, then.
Wow.
And so he kind of like looks at him funny and he's just like, okay. He's gonna, and he starts throwing out, ground beef, and basically turning that into like some patties, to go with it.
I'll take some of those eggs and bacon too.
And they want eggs and bacon too. Keep it coming. And the guy's like, "Why are you so?" And in Russian, he's like, "What are you so excited for, Yuri? I mean, what's the big deal? If these are just strangers." He says, "Aha, tourist strangers." And at that point, the guy lights up and he start working, much faster.
Because tourist means money.
Tourist means money. Yes.
Do they have any pastries here?
He says, "Oh no, they don't do pastries here." He said, "Do you have any of the biscuits? Did the baker drop those off yet?" And so the guy comes back around, and again they keep it classic style. They've just got some biscuits in a clear glass container that sits a little bit, a little raised or whatnot, and it's just there to go with any meal at that point. But they don't make them on site; they get it from someplace else.
How about coffee?
And he says, "Ah, yes, they want coffee, black coffee."
Oh yes, coffee. Coffee, 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 coffee.
Not black. Not black coffee.
He says, "We have sugar."
No milk?
He looks around, looks over to the guy and says,
It's okay.
Do
It's
you
okay.
have any milk?" And he says, "No, nothing's coming from the farms."
Right. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. Whatever you've got is fine.
Yeah, I don't think they have coffee mate here.
Half and half?
And so he's like, "What is half and half?"
Never mind.
He says, "Is that like half water, half coffee? That would be terrible." So then, anyway, since you don't answer, they get the food coming out for anybody who needs it. It's what, 3 people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, just making sure. Okay. So then for basically 3 plates of breakfast, that's going to come to 5 rupees a piece.
Okay.
Hey, big
Sure.
spender.
Woohoo.
Oh
she'll,
yeah.
She'll put 6 on the table for
Sean is
dinner.
filling
and a
up both legs.
Okay. So yeah, but I mean, when you slap down the extra, the cook, he pushes it back to you and he says, "Well, you overpaid."
Oh, right. Right. Tipping is not a thing here. I forgot.
And so he looks at at Yuri, oddly, like did he not tell these people what the accurate price was? And so he tells them. He says, "Oh, no, it's a American thing. They give extra if it was good." And so he sighs real quick and he's like, "Oh, I thought she was testing me. It's like, I'm not no gypsy."
Oh,
Ouch.
Wow.
yeah.
I legitimately, even still in Europe, that's a big deal. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's deemed the only people who really quote unquote steal are the gypsies. So
Okay.
Well, the term itself is derogatory.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Food
But
was very good.
nevertheless, yeah. So you get your fill. It is the greasiest food you've probably ever had.
Lovely.
Again, because it's not done to USDA standards. However, it clearly has more flavor because of that as such, with the salt and the seasoning that they end up using.
And Sean's going to take a few extra of those biscuits with her.
Okay. And so once you have gotten your fill at this point, so Yuri is waiting back at the van, for everybody to eventually come walking back out. And he says, "All right, my friends, where do I take you?"
Do you know of the
Is there
flea
any
market?
good place for shopping?
What is a flea market? This sounds repugnant.
Yes, that is an American
So-
term.
A place
Uh,
with a lot of different little shops where people can go
a
and
the
trade.
marketplace. Oh yes, of course we have marketplaces. I don't know if you would like these marketplaces though. I mean, we don't exactly have anything that you probably don't already have in America. But if you want to go there, far be it for me to say no.
Yes, we would like to go.
We just want to see what it's like in this country.
Of course. So
It's more
he
for the experience.
so he takes you down so you can do some shopping. Uh, he takes you down to a shopping center that is near the city library of Tiraspol. They actually have a bank there, and you can see there's quote unquote a 4-star hotel there, which means it's about average is what you would find in America. But it clearly looks a lot better than the one you're staying at.
Is this the place that you saw?
This is not the place.
Okay, how are we going to get to the place?
Let's maybe get out and walk around a little bit and then ask him for another place.
But clearly it's not like a shopping mall or strip mall like you would see in America. It's all like you would just go down a street and then there's several little mom and pop stores, lined up or something. There's hardly anything here that's overtly commercialized as far as a store.
Maybe we could just buy like a couple of trinkets and then ask what other shops there are.
Agreed. Make our way towards the location you're talking about rather than going there directly.
Maybe we should ask him about where we could buy Levi's.
Maybe one of us needs
Why
a new
would
pair.
we want to buy Levi's here?
Well, because you need a new pair of pants.
Yeah, remember
do?
you
Yes, you do.
ripped your other ones?
Yep.
Yes. A workable story.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Ain't no more.
I can facsimile the pants. I do not need to.
I know
Wear
it's an excuse to go there. You need new pants.
Just a cover story, Chum. Just a cover story.
A falsification to give reason. I see.
Correct. Excellent. Then let's begin shopping for the next several minutes and then ask him to take us elsewhere.
Should I tear these?
Nope. Yep.
Not necessary.
So you poke around these small little shops. Like the first one is a small store that sells, I don't want to say jewelry, but they sell like glassware. All of it hand done. They don't do it here, but all of it's hand designed. So individual cups and platters and things like that. The next one over is a small store that has like sewn items, as well as some items made from wood. So real hobbyist looking things, but it's clear some of the clothing that they sell in the store is obviously repurposed as well. So it's like somebody may have discarded a coat because the seam broke off at the arm or something. So they've done a good job of repairing that up and putting a patch on it and making it usable again. And the store next to that is just it's a small store that sells photograph equipment. But we're talking like old flash bulbs and, that type of box photography.
Okay.
Hey, Yuri, Is there some place where I could get maybe some souvenirs to take back with me?
What kind of souvenirs are you looking for?
Well, anything that I could say, it's from this place.
I don't know what exactly it is you like or you
Like,
say is
like,
from this place. You could get a bottle
What
of
are you?
wine. We're always known for our wine.
um, I don't know if we could take that back on the plane.
Oh, that's right.
No,
The
I'm thinking
customs.
like trinkets and stuff, like maybe like the dolls that go inside of each other, or
Oh, the nesting dolls?
yeah.
Those are usually like individually made and give out. At least around here, we don't have them in a store. But you could go to a jeweler. Would you like jewelry?
Oh, I always like jewelry. What about my brother? He ripped a pair of his pants last night, and he only likes Levi's. Is there a place around here where we could get some Levi's?
He says Levi's are illegal import. Um, they don't hold those in stores specifically, but I think I understand your meaning now. I
Yeah, I mean,
we have to wait till nightfall, but I think I know a place.
oh, good. That would be wonderful.
Well, until then, can you just drive around the city and tell us a little about the place?
Oh, of course, of course.
Out of character, was it nighttime when Lightbringer was flying around?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Evidently,
Yep.
would have been a little harder to see, but oh well.
So, what's the history with with your country?
Okay, so I mean, he gives you kind of a brief rundown, their side of the whole thing. Obviously, that Moldova used to be a part of the Soviet state bloc when the Soviet Union turned into the Russian Federation. Moldova wanted its independence, but there were many people, on this side, where you're at right now, that did not want to leave. Did not want to leave Russia, and not be a Russian state. So, with the help of some Russian intelligence and equipment, the local people rose up and reclaimed this portion of the land, and we have named it Transnistria. They he says they received some help from Ukrainians loyal to the cause, but not much.
So, is it normal to see soldiers with the guns just walking around,
Oh, of course.
and that doesn't bother you guys?
Should it?
I don't know. I mean, I remember I'm from the states. That it's different.
I've never been to the States, so I couldn't say. But I believe soon we should have our own official police force. I, not a politician, I do not know when, but they
Really?
have been actively hired.
So, is your government independent from the Russians in the Ukraine?
Yes, Russia is here only as a peacekeeping, stabilizing force. as
Billy is trying desperately not to smirk.
as Yuri guns it real quick through a red light.
Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome sound
Wow.
effects. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
It sounded real.
She's gonna look over at Hyperion just for a brief moment. She's still not too sure what they should do.
And with that look, Hyperion will pipe up and go, "We have heard that it isn't okay to speak against the government here, even as just an opinion."
Oh yeah, he shakes his head. Oh no, of course not. You're not smart if you speak against if you speak against the government. It means you're a Moldovan sympathizer. We don't want that here.
So, what do you think would happen if Moldova was able to take the territory back?
I mean, he shrugs at that point and he says, "I would imagine we would fight bitterly, but I don't. I mean, I don't know specifically. I wasn't involved in the fight to liberate our country.
So,
But I
how
would
would you
imagine a lot of people would.
So, you personally would be against Mold- becoming part of Moldova again?
He says, well, yeah, of course. I don't want to be a part of that country. I want to be a part of Russia.
And why is that?
Yeah.
I mean, he proceeds to go on about the glory of Mother Russia and the strength and unity of communism and that sort of thing.
Okay. An interesting take. I wonder, it seems that everywhere we go, it's difficult to find anything that can be purchased that's of better quality than something that's years, if not decades old. Everything needs to be repurposed or refurbished. Is there a reason for that?
He says that we're a poor country. That much is true. And our country was hit very hard when we were released from Soviet statehood.
Let's see.
So it has been very difficult to gain recognition and bring additional money into our country.
So, would you say that everybody wants to rejoin Russia? Is that
if they,
the country's official stance?
yes, we wish to be an official state of Russia.
Does Russia want that too? Are steps being taken to make that happen?
I don't know. There seems to be good things in our newspaper, and when they talk to us on the TV, and Russia seems to be here fairly often.
Oh yeah, we see them on the streets with their guns.
You see. What type of news do you have available? Is there anything other than one news station in the area?
He says, "Oh no. On a good day, we can tune in news from, from the Ukraine and Russia."
I see. But no other news, and that's only on a good day when reception is good, I take it.
Right. Yes. We only have the one TV station.
I see. Might seem very limiting. It would prevent you from knowing about what's happening according to other perspectives beyond just what Russia would say.
Ah, that's the American think. Be careful with
Perhaps.
espousing that too loud.
So, getting information from other sources is then looked upon as not simply being a Moldovan sympathizer, but just being against Transnistria, it would seem.
Well, if you are looking for, how did you put it, alternative information, that's what it means. I can't think of any time somebody's tried to find out a different way to grow a flower.
Interesting.
But I'm not a politician, so.
Well, you don't need to be a politician. I'd rather get your opinion than a politician's opinion, anyways. Because a politician will only tell you what you want to hear.
Exactly.
So,
And that's why everyone answers to the people.
so who's the leader of Transnistria?
Rattles off the president's name.
Do you have like a? Does he have like a cool building? Do you get to like tour and see the place where
I don't
government
think
comes
he's
from?
done any. I don't think he's done any tours. But yes, he has a nice building.
And you mentioned that the Russians are here as peacekeeping. Have they shown perhaps greater degrees of authority and power than the politicians here, like your leader? Could the leader ask the Russians to leave if they weren't needed?
Oh, he absolutely could, but he's not going to.
Right.
We don't have the military might to resist the Ukraine and Moldova at the same time. And if they leave, that's exactly what's going to happen.
I see. Do you think there's anything regarding Moldova or Moldovans which is inherently bad, or are they simply a neighboring country to you?
I don't know if it's bad or good. They identify as Moldovans and we identify as Russians. And they have certain things that I imagine that they want with their independence, and we wish to be a part of the Soviet state.
How's the crime in the city?
The crime is not bad at all. I mean, there's some. I would imagine there's always going to be some in a big city.
Are there like dangerous parts of town that we should be aware of?
Yeah. Especially to tourists with money that don't want to get mugged.
Do you have a map you can show us what parts of town we should not go?
Oh, so he's like, I don't have a map. I'm sorry. We don't need a map.
Okay. Well,
Could you point us in the direction, like drive past the general vicinity to make sure that we do not go in those areas? And say, driving down this street to the east, you do not want to go there.
Oh, sure. I could drive by it and kind of point out those areas to stay out when it's nighttime.
Yes.
Excellent.
She's going to subvocally speak to Hyperion. Do you think it would be safe to ask him about the general?
I believe so. So then Hyperion will out loud say, we've heard of an individual, a General Yanovich. Have you heard of them? They apparently are a part of the Russian military here.
He nods. Yeah, I saw him on the news a couple days ago.
Oh, is he in this area?
Mm-hmm. I think he's the commander of the peacekeeping forces here.
So he's well thought of.
Yeah.
Do you know if he's typically in one particular building or if he makes appearances elsewhere?
I have no idea.
Understandable.
If I wanted to meet him, would that be possible?
And he's like, meet the Russian general?
Sure. I mean, I could go home and tell people that I got to meet an actual Russian general.
I don't
we
know
did-
if you would want to meet the Russian general, let alone if he had time available. And I wouldn't know how to do that even if I wanted to.
No. Well, it was worth a try.
So Yuri, what kind of work do you want to do when you grow up?
Considering he's already grown up at this point.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. I had thought about joining the cinema. Try to be an actor,
Do you
but we don't exactly have many opportunities
make movies
for that.
here, do you?
We show movies. I would have to go to Russia for something like that.
Right.
But I hear they have amazing schools for theater.
I know that their ballet is
Right.
phenomenal. I would like to see one of those.
He's like, ballet is not really my thing.
And your athletes are quite impressive as well.
He says,
Gymnastics.
our
Yes.
athletes? You mean Russian athletes?
Well, you consider yourself Russian.
Well, yes, Russians in Transnistria, yes. The only athletes we have play football.
Which is our soccer.
Right.
Are they any good?
He says, I don't really know. I think they've been having problems finding other teams to play against.
So
Politics.
there's not a so
Because they are too good and intimidate the competition.
No, because people do not recognize our nation.
do you think there's a game that we could watch while we're in town?
No, but I'm sure that they, they hold practices. You could watch that. It'd probably be kind of boring.
I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun to meet some of them. Get my picture taken with them.
Okay, well, I could show you where their pitch is at, or not where their pitch is at, but where their training grounds are at.
That'd be cool.
Excellent.
So where should we have lunch?
He says, well, I don't know where exactly you would like to go, but I know of a couple other places around town.
Sounds good to me. I don't know. What do you think, guys?
Yuri,
Sure.
we can go wherever you suggest.
Okay.
Show us what the locals like to eat.
Okay. So he takes you right. He ends up taking you down 25th October Street, showing you the Palace of Children and Youth Creativity, the Humanitarian and Mathematical Gymnasium of Tiraspol, the Tank Monument, the Memorial of Glory, the St. George the Victorious Chapel, Museum of Local History, the Transnistrian Government Building with a statue of Lenin outside of it. And then it kind of takes you over to where there are there's like some grocery stores, or a grocery store, I should say, not grocery, not plural. And actually ends up taking you right past the one TV channel in the nation, as well as the Russian consulate, bypassing the monument of first Moldovan of the first Moldovan power plant, giving you the communist tour of the entirety of the place. And then ends up taking you to what is the equivalent of a shopping mall. And of course, the shopping mall has several little eateries there that you can eat at. We'll go ahead and zip through that. You guys can, you guys maybe do some window shopping there, look for trinkets or whatever have you that you might want. We're going to go ahead and pause there because it's been almost a full 3 hours.
You're gonna rush right through me getting some borscht, huh?
Yes.
Yep.
Sure.
No borscht for you.
Rude.
You forgot the nesting dolls.
Yeah.
No, you can still try and find nesting dolls there. That's fine.
We're gonna play that next game.
Yes.
Very important.
But the borscht,
Yep.
borscht, no.
The hunt for red borscht.
God.
Is it October?
Yep.
Right, yeah.
It's 25 October.
Yep. On
There you go,
25
yeah.
October Street.
Yeah, nice.
So our next game is going to be the 23rd, which that would be
Right before
we have something
Christmas.
going on the 23rd, so
Oh,
we're not
yeah.
going to have game that day.
No game.
So I knew that was coming up. So then our next game after that would be January 6th.
Wow.
Okay.
24.
Always out there.
2024.
We will not be playing it again until next year.
That is correct.
See ya next year.
That's it. I don't want to play with you guys again this year.
And then
Fine,
next game coming up is, or the next game next week is Cyberpunk on the 13th. That'll be
Yay.
at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Then on Thursday we have Street Fighter, also at 7 p.m. At Mountain Standard Time. So thank you
And
guys
then-
all for who tuned in and camped out with us and chatted for a bit and watched the shows.
And
And
donated to rerolls.
donated.
Yes.
to Reroll.
Yes.
Love you, Davey.
Yeah, Davey Jones just gave you guys a Ric Flair woo.
Whoa.
Woo!
All right, so we're going to tune out from
Can't do
here,
it that
and I
way.
hope you guys have a good night. Good night, guys.
Nice.
Take care.
Night.